The rivalry between Ryan Garcia and Rolando "Raleigh" Romero has simmered for years, a slow burn fueled by sparring sessions, social media shade, and the kind of personal resentment that only comes from two fighters chasing the same spotlight. Now, as they prepare to face off on May 2, 2025, in New York's Times Square, the stakes feel higher than ever. This isn't just a fight about belts or bragging rights. It's about legacy, redemption, and settling a score that's been festering since their paths first crossed. What started as a clash of egos has evolved into something raw, almost primal, and the boxing world is buzzing with anticipation for what could be one of the most explosive showdowns in recent memory. At its core, this is a tale of two fighters who couldn't be more different, yet are bound by shared struggles, mutual respect, and a lingering bitterness that no amount of handshakes can fully erase. Garcia, the 26-year-old phenom from Victorville, California, burst onto the scene with a polished image, lightning-fast hands, and a social media following that made him a crossover star before he'd even won a world title. Romero, 29, from the gritty streets of Las Vegas, clawed his way up through club cards and underdog fights, his unfiltered personality and knockout power earning him a cult following but never quite the mainstream love showered on Garcia. They're opposites in style and substance, but their careers have been intertwined for years, each man's successes and failures measured against the other's. The bad blood traces back to 2018, when the two were still prospects finding their footing in the pro game. They sparred multiple times, sessions that left bruises on more than just their bodies. Romero claims he got the better of Garcia, dominating him over 2 days in the gym. "I beat the stuff out of him," he said, though he's quick to add, "It don't matter, it's just sparring." Garcia, for his part, has never publicly disputed the claim, but those close to him say he remembers every second of those rounds, and not fondly. Sparring stories are boxing's equivalent of campfire tales, often exaggerated, but there's no denying these sessions planted a seed. For Romero, it was proof he could hang with the golden boy. For Garcia, it was a bruise to his pride that's never fully healed. Back then, their paths seemed destined to diverge. Garcia was the darling of Golden Boy promotions, headlining cards and racking up knockouts while building a brand that transcended the sport. Romero, meanwhile, was grinding in smaller venues, places like Sam's Town in Las Vegas, where the crowds were sparse but the fights were brutal. He didn't have Garcia's polish or platform, but he had heart and a right hand that could turn out lights. Fans and promoters started comparing them, not just their records, but their potential. Who'd crack the elite first? Who'd falter under pressure? The questions hung in the air, unanswered but always present. Their rivalry wasn't always hostile. In 2021, when Garcia stepped away from boxing to address mental health struggles, Romero showed a side few expected. He reached out, not with a jab or a diss, but with empathy. "Some things are bigger than boxing," he told Garcia in a private message, offering support and asking for his number to stay in touch. They talked, they squashed whatever beef existed at the time, and for a moment, it seemed like the rivalry might soften into something closer to camaraderie. But boxing has a way of resurrecting old grudges, and as both men climbed the ranks, the comparisons and competition crept back in. Fans pitted them against each other, media fueled the narrative, and soon enough, the respect was overshadowed by resentment. What makes this fight so compelling is how their careers have mirrored and diverged in the years since. Both have tasted defeat at the hands of the same man, Gervonta "Tank" Davis, one of the most devastating punchers in the sport. In 2022, Romero faced Davis and held his own for 5 rounds, outboxing the smaller man and frustrating him with movement and power. But in the 6th, Davis landed a vicious combination that folded Romero against the ropes, ending the fight and his unbeaten streak. A year later, Garcia met the same fate, crumbling under a brutal liver shot in the 7th round. Different fights, same result, both men humbled by a force of nature. The losses bonded them in a way, two fighters who'd stared into the abyss and come up short. But they also set them against each other in the public's eye. Who'd done better against Tank? Who'd landed the harder shots? Who'd shown more heart? Fans debated endlessly, and Romero leaned into it, pointing out that he'd gone toe-to-toe with Davis while Garcia had been folded like laundry. Garcia, never one to stay quiet for long, fired back with subtle digs, questioning Romero's resume and dismissing his claims of sparring dominance. The back and forth wasn't just banter, it was personal. Romero's path since the Davis loss has been a study in resilience. He bounced back with a controversial 9th-round stoppage of Ismael Barroso in 2023, claiming the WBA super lightweight title and silencing some of his doubters. The win wasn't pretty. Many felt Barroso deserved better, but it made Romero a world champion, a milestone Garcia has yet to reach. While Romero was hoisting a belt, Garcia was grappling with demons, both personal and professional. His comeback win over Devin Haney in 2024 was a career-defining moment, a unanimous decision that stunned the boxing world and re-established him as a top contender. But the victory came with an asterisk. Garcia tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs, not once but 3 times, leading to a year-long suspension and a firestorm of controversy. The failed tests cast a shadow over Garcia's triumph, splitting fans down the middle. Some believe his claim that the supplements were contaminated. Others see it as proof he cheated to beat Haney. Romero, never one to mince words, didn't buy the excuses. "It wasn't the tests," he said. "It was the weight." Garcia came in 3.2 pounds over the limit for the Haney fight, a move Romero called the real advantage. "Haney fought like an idiot," he added, suggesting that with smarter tactics, Haney could have neutralized Garcia's power. It was a calculated jab, one that painted Garcia's biggest win as tainted and set the stage for Romero to play the role of the clean fighter in their upcoming clash. Garcia, to his credit, has leaned into the scrutiny. He's agreed to Olympic-style drug testing for both the Romero fight and a potential Haney rematch, a move that's either a genuine attempt to clear his name or a savvy bit of public relations. Either way, it's raised the stakes, putting both fighters under a microscope. Romero didn't ask for the extra testing, but he's riding the narrative, positioning himself as the honest underdog against a star who's at every advantage: promoters, platforms, and, in Romero's view, a few extra pounds on fight night. Stylistically, the fight is a powder keg. Garcia is a precision puncher with blinding hand speed and a left hook that's ended more than a few careers. He's matured since his early days, learning to temper his aggression with patience, though he still loves to bang when the moment calls for it. Romero, by contrast, is a wild card. His defense is shaky. He fights square, keeps his chin up, and throws looping shots that leave him open to counters. But what he lacks in finesse, he makes up for in power and unpredictability. He hits from odd angles, lunges with reckless abandon, and carries dynamite in both hands. If Garcia gets careless, Romero could land something catastrophic. The boxing world is split on who'll come out on top. Shakur Stevenson, one of the sport's sharpest minds, is firmly in Garcia's corner. "Rawley ain't that good," he said bluntly. "Ryan's a better boxer." Stevenson sees Garcia catching Romero with a left hook and ending it early, a prediction echoed by former champion Tim Bradley, who calls Romero damaged goods since his knockout loss to Davis. Bradley points to Romero's porous defense and lack of composure under pressure, arguing that Garcia's speed and power will overwhelm him. "It's gonna be night-night," Bradley said, envisioning a highlight reel finish. But Romero's not without his believers. His raw power and awkward style make him a live underdog, especially against a fighter like Garcia, who's been dropped before and can get drawn into brawls. Romero's new trainer, Cuban mastermind Ismael Salas, has brought structure to his chaos, helping him channel his aggression without losing the edge that makes him dangerous. Salas doesn't hype fights, but he's quietly confident, noting that Romero is mature now, a far cry from the brash kid who lunged into Tank's counterpunches. If Romero can land big early, he could flip the script and derail Garcia's comeback. For Garcia, this fight is about more than just a win. It's about erasing the doubts that have dogged him since the Haney controversy. A knockout over Romero would silence the critics and set up a massive rematch with Haney, likely slated for October 2025. Garcia's been uncharacteristically quiet in the build-up, but his silence feels deliberate, like a man saving his energy for the ring. When he does speak, it's with the swagger that's made him a star. "I'm putting Rawley to sleep with a left hook," he said recently, tossing in a wild jab about going to jail with Diddy if he loses. It was classic Garcia, part joke, part flex, all confidence. Romero, meanwhile, sees this as his moment to rewrite the narrative. He's tired of being the punchline, the guy who's only here because Pitbull Cruz dropped out. He called Garcia himself to make the fight happen, no promoters or politics involved, just a direct challenge from one fighter to another. "I know him too well," Romero says, a warning laced with menace. He's not just fighting Garcia, he's fighting the mythos around him, the idea that this is just a pit stop on Garcia's road to redemption. Romero's been counted out before, and he's relishing the chance to prove everyone wrong. Their shared history adds another layer. Romero's never forgotten how Garcia's star rose faster, how he got the big fights and bigger headlines while Romero scrapped for scraps. Garcia, for all his charm, carries his own chip, a need to prove he's more than a pretty face or a failed test. They've both lost to Tank, both chased titles, both been written off at different points. Now, under the brightest lights in boxing, they get to settle it. Not with words or posts, but with fists. This isn't just a fight, it's a collision of narratives. Garcia's chasing absolution, a chance to reclaim his place among the elite. Romero's hunting respect, a shot to show he's more than the sum of his losses. The ring in Times Square will be their crucible, a place where egos get checked and legacies get forged. Will Garcia's speed and precision carry the day, or will Romero's power and hunger steal the show? One thing's certain, when these two step into the ring, it's not just a boxing match. It's personal. And it's going to be a war.